Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a review, demo, and eye swatch of the new Colourpop Aura and Out palette. Oh, I just dug my finger in it everywhere. Here is a quick look at the palette. Colourpop recently came out with a new tie-dye collection, and I picked up two of those palettes, the Aura and Out and the In a Trance palette. I have not tried this one yet, and I did not pick up the third one. The third palette in that collection has a lot of peachy, pink, warm colors in it. I just already have a lot of those types of colors in my collection, so I didn't feel like I wanted to pick that one up. Just a quick look at the In a Trance palette. I will be doing a review on this. I just wanted to get one of them out now. I did want to hurry up and get a video out for you, but I also wanted to make sure I had a good understanding of the formula of this palette. For myself in general, I'm not someone who really loves pastel shades. One, because I'm just not sure if they're very flattering on me, even though I love them on other people. And the second reason is I feel that pastel. And the second reason is I feel like pastels, they're very dry and they just don't build very nicely, at least from what I've seen from pastel shades. With that said, I think this palette is a great example of why I'm not really a fan of pastels, as harsh as that sounds. For one, this palette is very flat. There's no depth in there really, like all of these are kind of the same type of tone range. With shades like these, I feel like I really need something that's gonna ground the look, like kind of a deeper shade. Not necessarily something that's a dark shade, but maybe like a medium range shade, which I know kind of defeats the point of a pastel palette. And I don't mind reaching for other palettes, but I think it is important to know that this isn't going to be a standalone palette. I feel like this look that I came up with is very cute and I really do like it. However, even though I came up with a great look, I'm not sure if I think these shadows are very good. So for example, if I was going to go in with a shade like this and try to build it up, I'm not sure if you can really tell, but this is a very powdery formula, which is not uncommon for pastel shades, at least from what I found. I wish they could find a way to make them creamier, a little bit more moisture so that they're able to stack on top of each other. I'm not sure if I can give you a good example, but so there is that shadow blended out, and I'm gonna pack. I don't know how to explain what I'm talking about. What am I talking about? How do I explain this? I guess a good way to explain it is that they have a hard time building. If you are gonna pack something on your lid and go out and blend it out, it's gonna really take a lot of it away. Is that a good example? They're just hard to build. I'm not really sure how else I should say that. So I will go through and show you some of these shades. Here is the shade Young Love. This is just a basic white shade. You can use this to lighten any of your current shades in the palette, or you can use it as a base to other shadows to hopefully make them pop a little more. Youre A Vision. This is one of the shades in the palette that I find to be very dusty. It has a very difficult time building and it just kind of fluffs away. Also, when I did my eye swatch, I found that none of the glitter stuck to my eyelid, even though I was pressing it into my lid and not buffing it away. This is the shade Solar Hour. This one is kind of like a macaroni kind of yellow. It's got a little hint of tan in there. This one really reminded me of the single shadow by Colourpop called Paper Tiger, and I just want to compare them. This one right here is the shade Paper Tiger in the single shadow. It is actually a lot deeper than I remembered it being, but there is a little comparison. And just another single shadow comparison, this is the shade Running Late. This one is Fresh Cut. It is a pastel lime green. Again, this one is pretty powdery, but it does have a decent amount of pigment. I find that when they have more pigment, they are easier to use even if they are dry. So this one works a little bit better for me. Healing Heart. This one is a lime metallic shade. I think something that bothered me with this palette is the shimmers are very flat. They don't have, I wish maybe they added like another type of shimmer shade in there because they're very flat. They don't have a lot to them. They're very basic. They have decent shine on them, but for Colourpop shadows, I feel like these are very dull. I just wasn't really that impressed with it considering I've tried a lot of Colourpop metallic or shimmer shades. This one just isn't super impressive to me. I did want to compare these two shades. The bottom one is from the So Jaded Kathleen Lights palette in the shade Peridot. As you can see, the bottom one is a little deeper, has a little more depth to it. And I'm not sure if you can see what I'm talking about when I'm saying that the top one, that the one from the Aura and Out palette is just very bland. I also wanted to compare the shade Diablo from the Disney Villains Misunderstood palette. This one is a closer match. You can see that it just has more dimension to it. It's not just a flat shade. This is a sequin shadow in the shade Vibes. Again, another one of those shades that I just was not impressed with. Very dusty. The glitter has a very difficult time sticking. Tons of fallout in the pan with this one. And again, these glitters just don't stick. There isn't anything sticking these glitters to the shadow. A formula with the sequins really should have a creamier base to it. And just so you can compare these two shades, I'm going to swatch New Age right next to it. This is another one of those metallic shades. Look how crumbly this is. Can you see how crumbly that is? They're just not good. I'm not sure what's going on with this formula. Yeah, it's just flaking. This is just flaking everywhere. It's just, I'm so disappointed in this palette. The shade right here, Soul Sister, is a Super Shock shadow. If you've never tried a Super Shock, we're not going there. If you guys have never tried a we're gonna do that again, really. Super Shock formula. Let's just say Super Shock formula. Is that easier? This shade right here is a Super Shock formula. So if you've never tried them, they have a putty type feel to them where they do feel wet. I will swatch it for you. So let me tell you about this Super Shock. Let me tell you about this Super Shock. So here is that. Here is that Super Shock shadow in the shade. Oh God, they are trying me. This is the Super Shock shadow in the shade Soul Sister. Oh God. Super Shock shadow in the shade Soul Sister. Say that 5 times fast. Please just try. Go. It's not the best. It totally just bums me out saying this. I love this shade, and while it is still pretty, I'm not sure if you can see how sheer it is. I did see on Colourpop's YouTube channel when they were swatching these that they said this is a very sheer Super Shock shadow, so more like a topper. But I'm just thinking like, well, why not just go all out and have it just be a beautiful shadow? I'm just not really sure why they would put a sheer Super Shock shadow in this palette. If you guys are feeling pretty bored, go back and watch this video and take a shot every time I said Super Shock shadow. Super Shock shadow. Okay. I'll join ya. Okay. That flavor is not good. If you've had the White Claw, get the grapefruit, not the raspberry. Just not a fan of that raspberry one. I digress. Find a good example, give a good example. Okay. One more, do we have another one? One more. I'm gonna give you 2 examples of what I expect from a Super Shock shadow. This one is in the shade Frog. This is a topper shade to me. It is giving me something special. It is adding to my look. This one, I don't know. Like it's just lacking something that this has. This shadow is more of what I would have liked to see. This is in the shade Telepathy. This one just gives me more. It gives me something, you know? Am I making sense here? I don't know. It's just like, this one is giving me metallic. This one is giving me metallic. This one is giving me just like flat. This one gives me opacity. This one gives me a shift. Like there's something. I don't know. Okay, and then I will swatch the glitter. Here is the glitter shade in Energetics. This shadow has shimmers with purple seafoam green and like a burnt copper gold. It's actually very pretty, and I do like this glitter. Whether you're somebody who likes to put glitter on their eyes or not. And something else I need to mention, when I did use this shade Soul Sister, I put it on top of New Age. Now the problem with that is this doesn't have a lot of grit to it because it's not glittery like the shade Frog as a Super Shock shadow. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's creasing pretty bad. Like, No, like if you're gonna be a topper, you can't be breaking down my eyeshadow underneath. It just doesn't make sense. Like, as much as I like how my look turned out and I think it's really cute, I just don't necessarily think this is a good palette. But I don't know if that's my problem because I don't like how pastels work. So that's kind of what I go back and forth. Like, do I like these shades? Am I glad to have something like this in my collection? Sure, it's not a complete bust, but am I probably gonna reach for these? I don't know. I'm someone who likes to create looks just for like Instagram or just for fun, play with color. But I think for I guess if you're a regular person, you're probably not gonna buy this palette. So I don't really know. Another thing I will say that can help these is when you are applying them, pack them. Don't put them in the crease and think that they are gonna blend out. Like, yes, you can do that first, but then probably go in and pack it with your finger. I guess I will just kind of wrap up my thoughts real quick. This was definitely my least favorite Colourpop palette I've ever had. Is this palette workable? Absolutely. I do like my look that I came up with today. I've seen other people use this palette and I think it looks beautiful on them. I just think there's things to consider if you are kind of on the fence about this palette. I think these are fun shades to add to your collection. Ideally, am I probably gonna reach for this palette? Probably not that often, if I ever do again. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's pretty brutal, and you guys know how I feel about Colourpop. I really enjoy Colourpop, but I have kind of noticed that I think they're focusing more on quantity rather than quality, and I really saw that when I got my So Jaded palette. From then on, a lot of things that I've gotten I haven't really been super pleased with compared to what I used to get. Also, maybe that's just me. Maybe I have tried more products and kind of know what I like more. I'm not really sure what's happening. I don't know if it's a me thing or if it's a Colourpop thing. So let me know if you're having any experience like this. I'm very curious. I also just want to note that my review is specifically on this palette. It's not on the entire collection. I have not tried this one yet. And I do actually think I heard 2 people say that they did not like this palette as well. So I'm finding that it's probably not just a me thing, but I don't know. So I think if you were on the fence about maybe you just want to get one from the collection, I would probably count this one out unless this is the color scheme you want. This was the one I was most excited about, so I'm totally bummed that I don't love it. That was kind of a negative Nancy review. Like, it's very brutally honest, but I think that's one of the big reasons I wanted to start my channel, is to tell people like, hey, steer clear. Like, don't spend your money on that. Spend it on something else. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Follow me on IG. What was the thing I used to say? Hit the like, click the bell, follow me on IG. There it is. It's coming back. It's coming back. Okay. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Recently released, yes, that's a correct term. Colourpop just recently released, that sounds weird. It does. I got it. You can do this. You can do this. Okay? It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Colourpop just I did see on Colourpop's YouTube Super Shock Shadow in the shade Soul Sister. Nailed it. If you guys are feeling pretty bored during quarantine,